This episode of the Reppin the Statline podcast with John, George, and Josh is sponsored by Vision Insurance Group. Vision Insurance is one-of-a-kind insurance broker that specializes in every insurance. As a broker, they are able to shop all markets at a blink of an eye. If you are ready to save money with an agent that works with you, give Josh a call. Remember, save money by switching to Josh.
Hello, Stateliners, and welcome back to episode 10. We are halfway there.
Jeez,
Episode 10 of the Reppin the Stateline podcast with John, George, and Josh.
That's crazy.
It is nuts. I'm John. I'm joined here today with Josh and George. How you guys doing this week?
Great.
I'm tired.
Tired. Well, it was a great 4th of July weekend, obviously, for everybody. What'd you guys do? How'd you manage? I know George was he's given up his U.S. citizenship. He is now an Anglophile. He's loving England. So, and where were you at this weekend, Josh?
Mason had a baseball tournament in Oak Lawn, which from here at the State Line is about an hour and a half, 2 hours on traffic. And so we had that. Mason played really well. We went 2-0 the first day. Mason was in the home run derby and won it. So we got this big old ring that says home run derby on it. So it's pretty cool. Then we got home, turned around the next day, went right back to keep playing. And then actually we talked about it last week, the different places for fireworks. My mom was right across the street from the Speedway. So when we got back on Sunday, we went and hung out, swam at the pool for a little bit, and then we went over to her house for the fireworks. Very disappointing.
Really?
I don't know if you've heard that from anyone else, but the races didn't get over till about 10:30. So by the time they started shooting off fireworks, it was like 10:45, 10:50-ish, and they were done by 11.
Well, I think the noise ordinance, they have to be done by 11 regardless. That's one of those.
So there was like no fireworks. There was hardly anything. But I get the noise ordinance, but I think since it was the 4th of July, and I think because, at least the 4th of July, the city, I think a lot of the fire department, don't they go and like monitor to make sure that if anything goes wrong, they're there to put out, fireworks that have gone haywire or something. So I think the city at least knew. I mean, I just feel bad for all the people that like drove there with their kids and like sat in is it Mercy right there or OSF, whatever the hospital is or clinic, sat there for the fireworks or went to the Menards parking lot, sat. I mean, a lot of people go to their fireworks because they're usually really good and they're on a day that everyone can come and don't want to work next day to watch them, and they were nothing. Like I just went to my mom's house, so it was it is what it is. But people that actually traveled from around the area and that was going to be their family fireworks, I feel so bad for them because they were not good. Well, and then Monday, I can tell you this though. Monday, obviously it rained and did what it did. We played one of our friends on the baseball team, his family puts on a wiffle ball game every 4th of July. They've been doing it since 2007. And they put up a fence and everything at the wiffle ball field. They had scoreboards, they had donuts, pastries, coffee, mimosas, Bloody Marys. I mean, you name it, they had it. So we had a giant wiffle ball game, so that was a lot of fun. And then it was kind of crappy out, so we just hung out in the house. But we did go to the Rockford Country Club fireworks on the 4th of July, and they were awesome. Spectacular. Awesome. We sit in the same spot every year right there where the net is at Rockford Country Club by the entrance and Ingersoll, and they put them on right there. They went on, I'm not even kidding, probably 45 minutes they went on, and they were massive. They had a great finale. It was always a good time. So, but yeah, nice. Plus having kids and dogs and loud bangs and storms. So I had the pleasure of having 3 children and a dog in my bed for the last 2 nights. Yeah. So nice. Not much sleep on this side of things. So
Unreal.
That was my weekend.
Well, that's awesome. George, like I said, you're the new Anglophile. You went on an amazing trip. I saw a lot of the posts on Facebook. So tell us a little bit about what went on for you for the 4th of July. Because you were celebrating Treason Day, right?
Did you ask people Happy 4th of July or what they're doing for the 4th of July?
I did not, but
We don't have video?
No, unfortunately, I lost track of time and days. It's such a well, we flew out there and we had an overnight flight and we got about 2.5 hours of sleep and we landed, which was 10 a.m. already in London. And we had check-in at 2:00 in our little Airbnb. So we had 4 hours to kill. So we went to they had like a Rivals lounge where you can go, and I forgot what they called it, but it was like a Revive lounge where they had showers, you could shower, have food, coffee, some espressos. I had about 6 espressos trying to wake up because I was exhausted from basically we landed 10 a.m., which was 4 in the morning back home. So, and after 2.5 hours sleep, and then we had a concert that night. So we stayed up and we powered through and we got in about 11, almost midnight. So basically we're up almost 48 straight hours with a 2.5 hour nap and withstood a concert, and we all made it, which is shockingly, even my kids, they stayed awake. They fell asleep on the train back, but it was pretty amazing. Best concert I've ever seen in my life. Not even close.
And remind our listeners, who are you seeing?
Ed Sheeran. Saw Ed Sheeran at a stadium setting, and it was just one of those where I knew every word to every song, and I thought it was a new concert for his new album, which just came out. No, it was the Mathematics tour, which was all of his albums. So he basically played every hit song I knew. He had a surprise for the audience where they brought in guest Anna Marie came on stage, who was there in London at the time, and she sang a hit song that they did. 2002 is the name of the song. Is one of my favorites of the duet. And he even brought a new artist on stage, unreleased song that actually launches this coming Friday. So it'll be a new hit. We got to hear it live first. It was pretty dope. Everything about it, every song, just the whole atmosphere with the entire stadium. It was sold out crowd. 90,000, I think, is the capacity for Wembley, and it was unreal. Just every song, everybody was singing every word and jumping and dancing, and they had the lights, and he put on a spectacular show. It was great.
Awesome.
So we did that, and then we did a couple of days of touristy things. And on our we did the double-decker bus. We did the London Tower tour. We got to meet the what they call the meat eaters. We had a tour guide that was a meat eater himself. After 30 years of service in the British Navy, he was got into that role. And
Wait, did you say meat eaters or beef eaters?
Beef eaters, thank you.
Like the gin.
All
right, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to throw you out, but the beef eaters gin has one of those guys on it. So
yes, beef eaters, and it's funny. It's because my daughters kept calling him a beekeeper. Everywhere we went, she was like, "Oh, look, it's a beekeeper," and we're like, "What are you talking about?" Oh, beef eater, got it. So we did that. We did the London Eye, that little. It's kind of like a what do they call that? Where you go around
Ferris wheel.
Yes, it's like a Ferris wheel where you get to see the whole city. We did and then we did a day of shopping down there, Magnificent Mile, Oxford Street. It was pretty cool. And then we ended it with a play at the West End. That was on the last day, and fancy dinner. It was a blast.
And that's what I wanted to bring up, because the fancy dinner. I mean, it's a beautiful trip you took. I love the pictures I saw on social media. I was following you with all that. When you sent me the text that you are at a Gordon Ramsay restaurant doing the dish he's known for, beef Wellington.
Yep.
Beef Wellington.
And this is something that I'm like super jealous about, because it's one of those dishes there's nowhere really that has one around here. You know what I mean? You gotta maybe get into Chicago, maybe some super high-end restaurant. So my wife has tried cooking me a beef Wellington 3 times now, and it's come out nice, but not perfect. There's always one of those
Yeah.
little things
It's
you do wrong when
hard.
you're trying to. It's one of the hardest things you could cook. I think it's harder than cooking eggs, and they say eggs is the hardest thing you could cook. So I mean,
Yep. Well,
this is
it was the beef Wellington experience. So it was not just you order the beef Wellington. It's minimum required 2 people, $75 per person. And it's a 4-course, drinks included. And like,
So did you and your wife get it?
Yeah, my wife and I got it. The kids got kids meals, but I mean,
they got a McDonald's burger and some fries.
They got 2 dinky little chicken strips and some French fries. No ketchup.
It was unbelievable that whole dish and all in the dessert and the wine pairings and the drinks, and it was incredible. So yeah, it's one of those things where you're kind of like, I don't know a time in life that I'll ever get to have his
right
in that kind of a setting ever again, and I'm so glad that we did it. It's a check bucket list item.
No, it is definitely something to jump on when you get that experience. I mean, it's one of those things, like you said, you never know when you'll be able to do something like that. So
it was a blast. Got home, we flew back. There was an actual full bar on our flight home, which was pretty neat. And the kids and we sat at the bar, and I had drinks. They had their little mocktails, and they had a TV on at the bar, and we were just sitting there hanging out with the flight attendant serving us and chatting. We tried to stay awake because, again, coming back, then you have to adjust, and I'm still not there. I'm still tired. So hopefully one more night of sleep and I'll be back.
So why, if my question is, if you had like the sleeper, right, first class, why couldn't you guys get more than like 2.5 hours of sleep? I think I would have just slept the whole time.
Because so you take off, we left at like 9:30 and at 8:30 Central, and you pre-order your meals. So we had, by the time they served us our pre-course salad and then soup and then the meal and then dessert, we were talking about almost 11. So you're about almost 2 hours into the flight. And then we went to sleep, but then they wake you with 2 hours to go because they serve you breakfast before you arrive. So we took advantage of every minute that they weren't serving us food to sleep on the way there. And that was about 2.5, 3 hours. So it was not as much as you think, because it's only like with going with the current, going west to east, it was only like a 6.5 hour flight going there. Coming home was longer because you're going against the current. So unfortunately coming home, we didn't want to sleep. That would have been perfect to sleep because we had much more time, but we didn't want to get stuck on that London time zone. So we forced ourselves to stay awake, and then we crashed as soon as we got to the airport.
Nice.
Did you see any fireworks coming into New York?
Yes, we did. That was probably one of my favorite parts. As we landed, there was fireworks going off everywhere. And it's not like the main fireworks. And then when we took an Uber to the hotel, and as soon as we got to the hotel, we got up to our room, the main fireworks started, and you could see them literally from our room. So we watched the entire fireworks from our room after we landed. It was pretty cool.
Well, yeah, because where you landed at JFK, you were staying at the hotel there with the new casino. So we
were on the top floor, so we had a nice view.
And that's a straight shot along the Sound to the East River where the fireworks are.
Yep.
And there's not a lot of tall buildings between where you were and there, so you'll definitely get a good show.
Yep, it was pretty impressive. Loved every minute of the trip. I probably could have used another couple of days. The only thing we didn't do that we wanted to do was go to the West End. I mean, not the West End, Hyde Park.
Okay.
And do some of the parks that they have there, and Buckingham Palace. We couldn't get into that. That was all booked up. Those are the only 2 things that we kind of wish we had another day or 2 to do. But for having 4 full days, it was quite the trip. It was amazing. I wouldn't have traded any of what we did for anything else, really. I just wish we had a little more time. But the Hyde Park, from what we understand, was insane. We're kind of glad we didn't go because we probably wouldn't have get to see much. But literally the day we landed was the Rolling Stones played there. The Rolling Stones played there some other band played there. Adele played there while we were there. Rolling Stones came back. Elton John played there at Hyde Park, and Ava Max. It was like literally every night they blocked it off because they had a concert going on at Hyde Park. So
Nice.
it was pretty neat.
That's awesome. Good time.
That was my weekend. How about you, John? You had a fun weekend in St. Louis.
Yeah, thank you. We had a great time down there. We left on Thursday, so right before we aired the podcast on Friday, we played hooky on Thursday, took an extra day, drove down, what was it, about 4.5 hours? It's about 4.5 hours from the Statline area to get to St. Louis. And we stayed at a hotel. It's the Union Station Hotel. It's Curio Hotel, right
Love
downtown. And it's an old train station that's been completely converted.
Yep.
And there's the shows, like the light show going on the ceiling of this place, the bar in the main area. This is like where people used to go to their ticket counters. That's like where this main area is. It's all been converted, and just amazing shows. You go out to this whole area. There's a Ferris wheel, like you had over there in England. Big Ferris wheel, big pond. They're doing light shows and fireball shows. Actual like fire coming out of the lake to music. And when it gets dark, there's like lights on all the buildings. And you're still all underneath like the old train trestle where this used to be where all the tracks were, where all the trains were, where everything just converged. And it was just an amazing time. We had some good food, went to a few different restaurants, a few local places, shot down to Ballpark Stadium. There's a Hilton Ballpark, which has a rooftop bar that overlooks Busch Field. So you're sitting up there, and like there was no game going on, but they were setting up for concerts because this coming weekend at Wrigley is a big concert. You got Motley Crue and Pat Benatar
Poison.
and Poison are playing. They were playing down there on Tuesday the 5th. But we didn't know when we went for the weekend. It was called Fair St. Louis. It was a huge 3-day festival, all free to attend.
Wow.
Third Eye Blind was playing free. There was a couple other smaller bands like playing leading up to it. Fireworks on the 4th of July. We didn't stay till the 4th. We came home Sunday evening, but it was just like really cool. The different vendors, music, food, everything just going on all right downtown. It was all just shut down. It's all free to attend. And I didn't realize that St. Louis has a ton of free family stuff. The zoo is free. The art museums are free. You don't pay to go to any of them. We
Wow.
wound up spending Sunday afternoon at Grant's farm. Ulysses S. Grant. If people here in the Statline know, you go out to Galena, you go to Grant's home. That's where he lived after the Civil War. Well, he had property in St. Louis. He married his best friend's sister, who his best friend married one of the daughters, like the Bush family. It was like this whole crazy thing, and she had like 22 kids. Well, they have like this entire portion of the city is still donated. So there's like animals and a trolley. And the best part about the whole tour, it's free to go in. You park the car, you pay to park. It's like $12 to park your car if you go ahead of time, 18 if you go at the door. But then you go in, you do the trolley, the rides, all the other stuff. And then when you're all done, they give you free beer because it's still Anheuser-Busch sponsored. So you get to try new beers that haven't even come out yet, and you get to try like their staples. So even my wife, she doesn't drink beer. She had a beer while we were down there because it was like when in Rome, right? So just real good time. We found this little community. I could only describe it as like a hipster neighborhood. Just a real cool vibe. A lot of little local businesses, makers, like people that make stuff and have shops, and just really nice. We sat in this one bar. They have like probably 40 different beers they produce there. And they had all these French wines and all these whiskeys and bourbons from all over the world. So we sat in there, drank, met some local couple. We're getting the feel for the whole city, talking about different things like real estate and, different place to go. And the only thing we didn't get to go to was Bob's Oyster Bar, Broadway Oyster Bar. Bob's didn't make it there, but that'll be the next trip down. But great time, close to home. And yeah.
I told you, I think St. Louis, pound for pound, might be one of my favorite cities to go to.
I mean, it's a quick drive. There's a great nightlife. There's always something going on. There's music everywhere. The soccer, they're built right across from where I was staying. They're building a brand new soccer stadium for they call it St. Louis City. That's the name of the team, is City.
Interesting.
They're a major league soccer team, and they're doing really well. And the city just went around them, and it's just like, so baseball. We went by the stadium where the St. Louis Blues play. That's right downtown there. I mean, hockey, baseball, and now soccer. That's like the three big things in St. Louis. So
Did you ever make it to McLeod's Landing? Did you ever see that little? No.
did not make it there. Like I said, we did some walking around, but there was so much to do at our hotel. And again, we were there Thursday night, Friday, Saturday. We checked out Sunday and then came back Sunday evening. So it's a short trip. There's only so much you could do, especially when we spent I spent one full day, which is totally out of character for me, but spent one day, which was, I think, Friday. It was a beautiful day at the pool, at the hotel, drinking, swimming, and just relaxing. Something I never, no phone in hand, nothing, just enjoy the day with my wife, just hanging out, vegging and swimming and just eating.
I'm sure you
and
did a lot of
talking.
that on that cruise.
Well, I'm already looking, what's the next vacation now? I'm looking at when I'm going to book a trip to go to Florida next. So
there you go. Fun fact, St. Louis. So I have close ties to that city too. I went to Illinois State and we play in the Missouri Valley Conference. And every year, the Missouri Valley Conference tournament's downtown St. Louis. So I went every year for 5 years. I went the year after I graduated. And then I started going again the last few years before COVID. And I took my kid with me, but used to be, so back when we were at ISU, the place to stay was any hotel that's kind of downtown. And we would go to the game was at where the Blues played. And you would walk then after the game from the Blues stadium to Union Station. And that was still a hop-in area. There was a big mall and there's a Buffalo Wild Wings Hooters on the top floor there, and everybody would go to the Hooters and all the game, and it would be all Missouri Valley fans. That's what used to be the tradition, but now since they've converted that, everybody stays there now at that hotel, and that's where we stayed the last couple times. And you would walk to the Blues Stadium, but past it, and you would go pregame at forget what it's called, but it's right across from Busch Stadium. It was like a huge bar area.
Yeah. That's it's
Ballpark Village.
Ballpark Village.
Yep. So that's where the new hangout is instead of Union Station. And then you go walk to the game, and then everybody goes back to Ballpark Village, and then we all end up at the Union Station. So I'm very familiar with that area. Did it for many, many years now. It's probably 6-7 years total. Love it. Love that.
So I forgot to tell you guys this. We're going to have to go, okay? So we went to the Ribbits game last Thursday.
Okay.
And you guys were on your vacation, so I didn't get to talk to you. After baseball practice, we went to the Ribbits game with 3 other families, and it was $2 beer night.
What?
$2 beer night, okay? What do you guys think of when you think of $2 beer night?
I'm thinking of a small paper cup with the cheapest beer, like some Natural Light or something in it.
Natty Ice.
Some Natty Ice, yeah.
Ready? $2 tall boy domestics.
Wow.
16-ounce
Full
can.
cans. Full cans.
That's impressive. Cheap.
Okay. And then a guy on the other team broke his bat in the second inning, and it was buy one, get one free $2 domestics. So I went up with $10, and guess how many beers I got?
Oh, you got 10.
No, I got 20.
You got 20. It was $2 is buy one, get one.
Yeah. So I paid $5 or $10 to get 5 beers.
Right.
So yeah, 10. You're right. Not 20, 10. Yeah, 10 beers. My
math is hard. It's okay.
Because there's 2 of us that went up and both got 10 beers. That's what it was.
There you go. So it's because he broke a bat. That's why it was them
buy one, get one free.
It's anytime
That's
somebody breaks
crazy.
a bat.
I guess. I don't know. I just know they said, oh, broken bat. Now it's buy one, get one free till the end of the inning.
That's crazy.
That is amazing.
So we got, yeah. It was awesome.
They just need to now include they just need to now throw in dollar hot dogs. And
No, they have a section in right field that you buy the ticket. It's all you can eat hot dogs and all you can drink beer.
Yeah. It's like $30. You sit way out in right field in the back.
Yeah.
And they got a stand set up and they got hot dogs, hamburgers, and beer. And it's from a half hour before the game until the start of the 7th inning.
Yep.
nice.
That's like
Very
30
nice.
or $35 for the ticket. That's it. You
Very
get the whole
nice.
package.
It's not bad. But yes,
So-
we all three need to go during the next Thursday $2 beer night.
Definitely.
All right. I'm in.
So
So
what are we doing this Thursday?
It's unfortunately it's
Oh.
supposed to rain tomorrow.
I know, and we have the outing tomorrow. It's supposed to be raining, fortunately. So yeah, come out.
What do
That's
you have
something
tomorrow?
we haven't really talked about on this podcast, but the what is it called? The dock dinner on
Dinner
the
on the
docks
docks down at Prairie
every
Street
Thursday
Brewery.
night.
Now this happened yesterday. Obviously, we were at this thing. It was a great time. It was Clyde's. What was he? 49? No, he's 59.
Isn't it Clyde's 70th birthday?
It's Clyde's 59th birthday. And we had a great time last night at dinner on the docks. It was just amazing because this airs on Friday, guys. Shh.
Yes,
So,
yesterday. It
But
was
no,
an amazing
but-
time.
but Thursday dinner Prairie Street Brewery has some amazing stuff going on multiple nights of the week. But Thursday night is their biggest one. It's dinner on the docks and live music. People come down with their boats. They tie all their boats on off the dock there. And there's a different band each week. Bartenders, the waitresses running around getting you drinks. And then they have a food area where you just walk up and you can get burgers, chicken sandwiches, cheese curds, fries. There's like 5 or 6 items they do. That's it. And you just pay cash right there and you grab your food, you find your tables, people dancing all night. It's fun stuff. So
Totally.
definitely something cool to do. Something that I enjoy doing recently, which I don't know how many people go there, but another place, in my opinion, that's a good place to hang out, especially if you want to sit outdoors in Rockford. They spent a lot of money. Jim over at Stone Eagle spent a ton of money building the patio out this year. And on Tuesday nights, starting at 3:00 till closing, it's half price California wines. So every wine they have that's from California, half price glasses, half price appetizers, half price on any size shovel of shrimp, and half price oysters. So Tuesday night, me and Venice went and, drank some. I actually like their Sauvignon Blanc there from California. It's a nice one, nice white, refreshing. We had some wine, mozzarella sticks, half a dozen oysters. I get the shrimp and the oysters. That's what I like. I either get that or I get their mussels. For a place in the Midwest, their seafood is really good. Well, at least the oysters, they were huge compared. I had oysters down at Landry's while we were away, $3 a piece. And they were these small little things. I get them over here at Jim's and they're like the size of this case for my beach. You know what I mean? It was just craziness. So that's another great place. I mean, we have some great little restaurants.
My in-laws are really good friends with him.
With Jim.
They've known, my father-in-law and mother-in-law have worked for him or with him when they were younger at some of his very first restaurants and stuff here in town. So every time we go there, they're so close that he sees us. And I mean, next thing you know, we just start, we try to go there and like sneak in and like, do our own thing, but he sees us and it's on like Donkey Kong. We're getting this and that and this and that. You know what I mean?
Well, that's how he remembers everybody.
And that's
That's the
how he
crazy
is. So
thing.
that's how he is to a lot of people.
I mean, we walk in there, we're not there. I mean, we don't go there all the time, but we're there, a couple of times a month, maybe, 2 or 3 times a month we'll go by. And it's one of those things where walk in, it's like, hey, John, how you been? And he like shakes your hand. He knows what you drank. It's like, and he has so many customers. It's like, so those kind of places we were talking about yesterday, service. Have you guys found that people in service industries, like we're all in service industries too, but the people that serve other people seem to be just friendlier and more helpful. And I don't know if it's because we could all see each other's faces now because we're not wearing masks as much, so we're grateful to see a smile. But it's like we're shopping for a new entry door for my house. My wife is over at the store and she's looking at different options. We went and looked at a few, and then I had an appointment. She's looking at others. And some guy walking by, I mean, this is at one of the big box stores in town. We're looking to custom order a door, you know, walks by, takes a look, keeps going, stops, comes back, goes, "Do you need any help?" Now, pre-pandemic, you go to one of the box stores, and that's the joke, right? Stop the box store man. You'd ask somebody for help, and like, yeah, we'll call somebody. And like 30 minutes later, maybe somebody from that department would have came over. It's like everybody cares right now. They all want to give great service. They all want to keep people happy. So it's just whether it's food service or
it's because it's tough.
I think it's also because we understand each other, right? We all understand what goes on in our careers. And it's like if someone has never served before, they don't know what it's like to serve. So the people that have served before, they understand like what the struggles is that they are going through. And knowing that we are in a post or during pandemic time, they know those struggles, right? So I think it's more of us as human beings just understanding and knowing the situation in life.
right. No, and I get that because like even at dinner last night, our server was swamped. They were short staffed, so and it's one of those things you come to understand now. There's not restaurants are short staffed. There's not enough servers going around. There's not enough kitchen help. People just don't show up for work sometimes. So the guy that was serving us, our waiter, he's like running around. But then the general manager floats in and came by the table and got us a refill on the drinks and, just cleared some dishes and asked if we needed stuff. And he comes by and he's like, "I'm so sorry I neglected you." And I'm like, "No, we understand. You had the entire dining room by yourself."
Where was
And
that at?
we were at Stone Eagle. And the place was jam packed. The gym wasn't there actually, but Lori, the general manager, shout out to her. She's awesome. Just helped pick up the weight. I didn't get the name of the waiter. He didn't have a name tag on him, but you'll see him when he's there. The guy's always running around, and just
Yeah.
I mean, it was one of those things where he was like, "I feel bad. I neglected you guys. I covered your dessert." And I was like, "You'd have to do that. We understand completely." Like, "Nope, I wanted to do that because I felt like I wasn't able to give you a service." But it's like they don't have to do that. Those places don't have to. You remember that stuff I'm talking about here in our podcast.
Yep.
Absolutely. That's the kind of restaurants I want to keep serving. Those are the kind of people I want to give a great tip to because I understand.
Those are the kind of people I want to give repeat service or repeat business to. 100%.
Yeah.
And then I hate when you get the complete opposite of that, and you're like,
"Oh,
I'm trying to spend money here, and what do I got to do to like to get what's the service that you're supposed to get?" And so when it even more accentuates the times that you have.
And you know what? I'm not going to talk about a negative company. I'm not going to say their name here, but we were discussing that last night, that it's been just about a year since we last went to another local restaurant where we sat for over 3.5 hours to get a meal. And there was only 4 tables in the place. And I had to go to the bar to get my own wine because the waitress never came back to the table. And they messed up the meal, and it was a 3.5 hour meal. And it wasn't a really, really big meal. It wasn't a real super fancy place. And it wasn't like a dive bar either, you know what I mean? But it was a local place here in town. And after that experience, I refused to spend any money there. And I'm not going to say their name and say something bad about them, but that was my experience. Maybe they've changed. Maybe things have gotten better. Right. But I don't even want to take the opportunity to spend money there when I could spend it at so many other places in town. And there's a ton of great places in town that give great service. I mean, I go to Olympic Tavern. It's amazing service there all the time. I get amazing service over at Arrow Ale House all the time, at Fozzie's all the time. I mean, I get great service at so many different places in town. Why spend money at a place I got really bad service at, even though it's been a year?
And then another place that's like that's always forgotten is where we started going, Hope and Anchor. That place is phenomenal service.
Unbelievable, sir. And that place, I mean, I feel bad because they struggled through the pandemic they still haven't opened lunch there yet. So if you get a chance and you're in the mood for some authentic English food, I mean, George will tell you it's
Just
pretty
did it, yeah.
authentic. He was just over there. I mean, give them your business. I mean, they're in a part of town where there's not a lot of restaurants around them. You have to specifically go there to get there.
Okay,
You
I got
know?
I got one more story about my trip. You just brought
Okay.
that memory back. So I want to do whatever it takes to make a movement. So coming back I want to make a movement to bring that to the United States, because it's like, why do we not have that? My wife and I both agreed we would pay money to go to a place like this if they had it in the States. So when we were returning, we flew Virgin Atlantic, and Virgin Atlantic has a lounge in London Heathrow called the Upper Class Clubhouse. So it's invitation only. You have to be, in order to get entry, you have to be flying either Virgin Upper Class or Delta One, because they're in a alliance, so they kind of do favors for each other. But so it's only for first class members, or you have to have like a certain status with that alliance to get in. But I kid you not, you walk in, this place has seats and couches everywhere, not just like chairs like you'd see at US lounges, but literal couches, like leather couches, where we got the 2 couches in front of the TVs, and the kids had these leather backed high chairs with tables, and those high chairs also reclined. But we literally could take naps on the couches, and every seat, every chair, every cushion, every couch had a little QR code with your table number. So you scan the QR code with your phone, and it opens up a menu for your seat specific. Anything you can eat. And this was not like burger and fries, like fish and chips, like like
Bangers and mash, mushy
anything, anything you wanted. And they had burgers. They had plant-based stuff. They had vegan stuff. They had something for everybody. And then drinks. Like they had maybe 15 cocktails to choose from Cosmopolitan to Bloody Mary to whatever you want, champagne, non-alcoholic beverages, kids menu, soups, you name it. So you go and you kind of place your order, you put it in the cart, you hit checkout, and they confirm your order, and you just wait. And a waitress comes with all your food and drinks and drops it off at your chair. And then you go in when you're done and you're ready for more, and you order some more. And that was like the experience. And anything you wanted on their menu, all complimentaries for being in there. They had pool tables. They had a spa. They had Peloton bikes. I mean, if I'm in an airport lounge, I'm not going to work out. But if you wanted to, it was there. They had showers. They had places where you can get quiet time and like sleep legit. They had outdoor balcony. They had at an airport lounge. So I was just so blown away. I was like, I would pay to go anytime we flew. That would just make your flying experience so much better. If you paid.
I'm not to that status in life yet. My goal is to sit in the exit row so I get a little bit more leg room.
I'd like the bulkhead seat, please. I don't need the under seat storage in front of me.
It was so good that anytime I ever fly through Europe, I'm going to literally see if there's a way that I can connect through London before we make the trip across the pond, and make sure I'm on Virgin or Delta so I can go to that lounge. That's it. Like, that's how good it was. Like, I was so impressed.
I'm hoping they open up.
You always fly Virgin, right?
That Branson knows what he's doing. His experience and his talking about service, unbelievable. Virgin Atlantic is unreal. Yeah,
I hear all the brands. I mean, I have a client of mine that's local architect in town. They also travel agents. They do a lot of cruises, and they rave about Virgin Cruise Lines with the amount of customer service and amenities for what you get for your dollar. So, I mean, you're right. Richard Branson, his company, they know how to give top of the line service.
And all we have is Virgin Mobile, baby. Virgin Mobile.
No, we have Virgin America. We have Virgin America. It flies to the West Coast. I've taken a few of those.
Have you?
They're good too. Yeah, they're all about like they're unique. Let's just put it that way. They know how to
Okay.
separate themselves.
Can we completely off topic, but on topic because it's a huge thing to talk about. I'm scared to take my family to big social gatherings. I know it sucks to talk about, but with the shooting in Highland Park, on the 4th of July, I am scared to take my kids to a social gathering like that.
The big gathering.
Oh, I get that, and I'm very impressed with now. It was a junky day on Monday. It was raining on and off, that kind of stuff. So me, my wife, my daughter, and my sister-in-law, we went to the movies to kill some time during the day, watch The Black Phone, and we get out of the movies, we hop over to Rascals, and my sister-in-law goes, "Oh my goodness, there was a shooting at the parade in Highland Park." And right away, my phone then blows up. My mom's asking if we're okay because they live in New York and they don't realize how far away we are, even though that's right in our backyard. But it's still,
Right.
It's still a distance away. And they hear Chicago, anything, they think it's like right next door to my house. That's just what it is when you don't come from an area.
Yeah.
And Mayor McNamara in the city of Rockford, because the parade had not started yet, they did a delay of the parade. They did a delay of the fireworks. I talked to a few people I know that couldn't get to certain areas because there was a heightened police presence checking and locking down a perimeter beforehand to make sure there wasn't something else. Because at that point, we didn't know if it was a single shooter or is this going to be like multiple events happening all over the country.
We also, I heard there was ties to this kid to Rockford too.
And again,
I don't
one of the
know
things,
the details, but yes.
And I don't have all those details. And from a lot of the news media I've been listening to, I know that experts in these mass shootings say not to use shooters' names. Don't give them the satisfaction. Don't talk their name.
Right.
But we have to talk about what they do. That drives us nuts. I feel bad for the families that lost 7 of their loved ones. The one couple, Josh, I get it, man. There's that one couple. They were 37 and 35. They left behind a 2-year-old. That was the McCarthys.
I obviously, you guys know this situation hits really hard with me and my family. Obviously, because my father was murdered here in the Rockford area when I was 3. But I was on a call yesterday with my organization I'm part of, which is the Sheila A. Doyle Foundation out of Chicago. It helps children ages 7 to 17 that have lost a loved one or a family member, anyone to homicide in these tragedies. And I was on this call yesterday, and because I'm pretty high up in the foundation, so we were on this call, and it's with all the people with Kids Above All, which is a giant nonprofit organization out of Chicago that deals with grief, homicide. They deal with like counseling, just services. And Jerry Loriano, who is second in command with them, was all morning on the phone with the police departments and everyone in Highland Park, giving them and their therapists their service. So if you hear anybody or know anybody that has suffered something from this loss, reach out to me. We can get you in contact. There's free services that we are providing for them. Please, anybody that was in the area that has, needs someone to talk to, we're here for you. Just look us up, Kids Above All, Sheila A. Doyle Foundation. We're here to help. That's our space that we're in, and we do a pretty darn good job helping out, the community. But it's a tragedy that shouldn't have happened, and it's sad. It's very sad for the people that obviously that lost their lives, and their kids that are going to now grow up without their parents, and whether they have family members in town or if they have anybody else. We don't know their family dynamic. So my heart goes out to those the kids that are going to struggle the rest of their lives for something that should never even happen. It's very, very sad.
It sucks. Absolutely.
I completely agree. And We'll have a link posted in the description of this podcast and on YouTube with a link to Kids Above All. I apologize. The dog is barking in the background. They're tearing up my street this week. So every time a truck drives by. But what I'm saying, yeah, no, it's ridiculous. But I agree with you, Josh. I mean, my wife and I talked about this in length recently, and we need to find some way to help those that have mental health issues. Because as angry, I mean, I'm full disclosure, I'm a responsible gun owner. You know, I have shotguns, I have handguns, you know, I mean, I've had my Ford card, I do everything 100% legal. No matter how angry I would get with somebody or something or the world, never would have thought come to my mind, go shoot a bunch of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the people that think that way, they have a mental instability. They have a problem. They need to get help. And unfortunately, we don't seem to, as a society, try to help the people that need that help. Instead, we say, no, we don't help them enough. And instead, we say, let's make it harder for somebody to legally get a firearm. And I don't want to do a gun debate, but that's not the first step. I mean, because there was just a shooting in Denmark. Guns are illegal there. You know what I mean? If somebody really wants a gun, they're going to get a gun, regardless of where they get it from. I don't think it's a matter of regulation. It's a matter of how we're going to help people. So when we get that red flag, when we start seeing notes, I mean, hearing about this shooter now and their social media over the last few months, this was a very upset, angry child since 2019. There was issues. So were things handled incorrectly because he did legally get a FOID card and buy this firearm? That's what came out today that I've heard. I've been listening a lot on the NPR this week about this. But it's like, you know, we failed a lot of people as a society by missing a lot of the red flags. But we failed this kid. We failed all these people that got killed by him and injured by him by not having services available to try and first catch the red flag and then try to help. And I don't know what the answer is, but we spend a lot of money on a lot of dumb things in this country. And I think mental health and, you know, our communities and our people as a whole is where we should be spending most of it. But that's my soapbox.
Well, there is just so people on the podcast know, here in the Statline area, Danielle Angeleri over at NAMI, Northern Illinois, Northern Alliance of Mental Illness. She is an awesome person. So if you know anybody that's struggling yourself, you want to talk to someone here in the, Statline area, whether it's going to grab coffee, whatever it is, Danielle's always up to help you guys out. And that's a good thing for our Statline area. You know what I mean? To utilize them and their services. And it's not just for kids, it's for adults too. I mean, a lot of adults. So
I will say that I am one that struggles with mental health from an anxiety standpoint. It's not a joke, 100%. And I think the first step is a lot of these people are, I don't know if it's society just ridiculing these people, thinking like, oh, there's something wrong with you, or having that mentality or what, but these people just won't self-identify. It's really difficult to get them to self-identify and seek that help. So I think that, it takes education, A. B, it takes having the network around you to help identify these things and get and encourage, and whether it's intervention or what, but encourage to seek help. It's not a joke. None of it is. And I know, like, many people will say, back how it used to be back in the old days, like, oh, everybody was tough guy, this, that, but that's not society today. Things evolve, people evolve, technology evolves, everything evolves, and we live in a different world than we did 50 years ago. And we need to understand that and really just educate. And I agree 100%. There's not enough attention, not enough programs, not enough everything for the mental health. I think that is step one in trying to solve this. And I'm not here to have the social debate about guns. We're not a political
Right.
show. I'm not here for that. But I think that what everybody would agree with, no matter what side you are on, is that mental health is the leader of what drives people to this. And it's definitely something that needs more attention, in my opinion.
I would agree with you on that. And yeah, it's, not, you don't realize how many people do suffer. So thank you, George, for sharing with us, though.
That's tough.
I have loved ones in my family that suffer from anxiety and depression. And it is difficult when you go through those cycles as just somebody who cares about them, and imagine what they're going through. So I totally can empathize with that. And yeah, we do need more help. We need to stand together as a community, but we can't allow, like, I know how you're saying you're afraid, Josh, to bring your family to big events now. That's part of that whole terror, though, right? It's like, I totally get it. I want to do what's right for my family. I don't want somebody to get hurt. I don't want somebody to get killed, but I also can't let these terrorists, whether it's a single lone shooter or gigantic organization, they still want the same effect. They want to get recognition and make people afraid. And so I look at it a little differently. I'm concerned, and I'm always keeping an eye out around me of what's going on around me. Having
I think
awareness.
that's my thing is I'm always on edge, always looking both ways, making sure. I mean, when we walk as a family, they walk in front of me, I walk behind them,
Right.
Stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Well, just simple things like that. Walking down the streets of St. Louis with my wife this weekend, and she's walking at the street side. It's like, no, come here. You walk over here. You know what I mean? Just that simple thing. I want to be between you and the street in case a car jumps the curb, in case somebody runs up on us, in case anything. It's just the weirdest thing. But having that heightened alert awareness around you. There was a great instructor. He's with the Sheriff's Department, Winnebago County Sheriff's Department, and he did a whole presentation with the Rockford Cosmopolitan Club last year on being aware of your surroundings. And he said he would come in and do this for any corporation. I have his card somewhere on this mess of a desk that I'm sitting at right now, so I can find his information. I'll post that up in our comments as well. But if your company would like to have a presentation, they have a grant. So he gets paid. Caruana's office pays him to go teach people awareness in their surroundings.
That's awesome.
And the best part was when they started it, he shows a video and he's like, okay, everybody, follow the basketball. And there's like 10 people on a screen. They're passing a basketball around. You're watching this basketball. When you're done, you're like, all right, how many times was the basketball passed? And everybody's like, 9 times. Right, 9. But did you see the bear? And then they play it in slow motion. And there's a guy in a bear costume dancing like through the crowd. But you don't see that because you're focusing on how many times the basketball gets passed. And that was like a big takeaway. It's like, that's what they do. They try to distract you so you don't see what's really going on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we got to keep aware. My thoughts, prayers, go out to the families, the victims. Josh, I know it hits home to you every time something like this happens, especially, kids losing parents. It sucks. But
it's not fun.
No,
but
it's not fun.
You know what? I'm here to help. I'm here to make things better.
Well, that's it. And that's why we're
all of our foundations.
And that's why Reppin the Statline is such a big part of those foundations that you're part of. We want to represent all people, the Statline, help them get the help they need and help them get the services they need. And that's why we're here. So if you have an organization you would like to have promoted to the Statline that you feel isn't getting enough credit, reach out to John, Josh, George, one of us, Reppin the Statline on Facebook, and reach out to us. Let's get you on the podcast. Let's get you talking about your organization and get you in front of the people that you can help.
Yep. I think this is a good place to call it an episode. It's a somber end, but it's definitely something that it's the right way to end this episode, in my opinion. What happened again, I should say, over this last weekend was a tragedy. And we, all three of us, had an amazing weekend and fun, but it's very easy to quickly shut down and appreciate just how good what we had, and how differently things could have turned out. So on that note, I'm ready to call it an episode. I appreciate your sharing, Josh, and both of you, your thoughts on this topic. It's not an easy subject to discuss. So
No, not at all. All right. And with that, I'm going to ask everybody once again to do all those things we ask you to do. I want to thank you all, our listeners, for participating, listening to the podcast. Please share, please like the YouTube channels. Please share and like and comment wherever you listen to this podcast. And be sure to follow us on Facebook. Until next time, gentlemen, have a great afternoon. And Stateliners, be careful out there and tell us how you'd like us to better rep the state line. See you next week, guys.
See you guys.
Sweet.